Hey there, toy collector friends and Batman fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Triple TC, that's the time traveling toy collector, and today we are looking at another entry into the Batman Automobilia collection. This time it's the car driven by Batman in Detective Comics 27. And the reason I call it the car driven by Batman and not the Batmobile is because at this point in its evolution, it's not called the Batmobile. It isn't called anything. It's not actually referenced at all. This vehicle first appears in issue 27 in a story called, I think it's called The Case of the Chemical, Case of the Chemical Gang, or The Case of the Chemical something or other. But basically, it's the first vehicle he seemed to be driving in the comics, but it does not have the name Batmobile at this time. That comes later. So this is one of those ones that I tend to find a little bit not so eye-catching, a little bit under the radar, but it is significant in that it is, to all intents and purposes, the first Batmobile. So we'll have a little look at it there in situ. Again, it's tied to the base, so it's not going anywhere when we jiggle it about. It's a bit of a coupe, to be perfectly honest, I would suggest. And it's got some lovely detailing, and we've also got some additional detailing on the display base as well. Nothing too dramatic, but they've made an effort. So without further ado or don't, let's get the crystal case off. They call it crystal. I think it's just plastic. What a letdown. Oh, you don't want that in shot. That's confusing. Let's just situate that there, and we can take a look at the lenticular backdrop, which shows Gotham City Police Department. Someone's just been dropped off at the steps. That's presumably a bad guy that Batman's just dropped off. And again, you can see that it does have a little bit of movement due to the lenticular nature of it. Again, I think it looks better slightly curved. I think it gives it a bit more of that sort of depth of field, but that isn't what we're presented with in the case. So there we are, a bit of a jiggle so you can see it move, but otherwise not much to report on that. Let's get on with the main event. Just whilst I'm getting this up close, just a gentle YouTube reminder that if you are enjoying this sort of trip through Batman memorabilia lane, do please smash the like button. It really helps tackle the algorithm. And also, if you haven't already, drop a completely free subscription to the channel. It really helps, and of course it costs you nothing but makes such a difference to me and YouTubers like me, so that's why we're always banging on about it. But apologies, because I know it's a pain in the bottom, so I'm not going to say it again in this video at least. So here we have the OG Batmobile as it appeared in Detective Comics issue 27. Just taking a quick look at the surrounding backdrop, we can see, and this is becoming a bit familiar for us now, this sort of additional rostra that they've put on the back here to make it look like a curb, which they've painted up to have some curb slots. Then we've got some white line on the road and a neatly positioned drain right next to a nice painted space on the sidewalk there. We also have some more detailing here on the road and a manhole cover, just to really make the point that we're on a road, people. This is serious. So thanks for the attention to detail in the backdrop and the actual display base. I know it's small and simple. I understand like I'm being facetious, but it really does make a difference, I think, in the overall quality of the presentation of the vehicles. I know it doesn't make a hide nor a hair of difference in reality, but I just feel like if you're presenting something in a collection, it is nice if that collection is shown off well. And these small details, for me, really add some value to that presentation. So let's start taking a look at this non-Batmobile Batmobile. So up front, you can see all that wonderful chrome that's all over that front grille, over that bumper, and over those headlights. There is also some translucent plastic on those headlights, so that's a nice detail. And as we follow the car around, we can see that silver on red is a continued detail. It's an unusual departure in some ways, although departure is probably the wrong word for obvious reasons. It's an unusual departure from the standard, what will become the template for Batmobiles, which is either the black, or of course that sort of dark metallic blue, which I think is, you know, reminiscent of ink from the cartoon, from the comic book pages. Something glaringly red makes quite the statement. But of course, the reason I say it's not really departure is because this came first. So the black and the blue Batmobile forms are all the departure from this, to be perfectly honest, and that wonderful redness. So it makes it very eye-catching. Trouble is, also makes it quite recognisable if you're also driving it as Bruce Wayne during the day, I imagine. So you can see that the wheels there have got the silver wheel trims. We've also got a standing platform step on the side. The rear wheel is covered, again, pretty it seems. All red translucent plastic, picking up the brake lights. We have the detailing of the rear hood there, the boot really, and you can see the door and the other. To shout out about the driver's seat there, we've got the steering wheel. I was trying to see and it looks like there's the door handles, and there's a little bit of detailing. You can't really see it because it's so small, but there's a little bit of detailing on the dashboard, but it's almost imperceptible. You almost wonder why they did it, although I'm very grateful that they did, because it is there, but very zoom in. So apologies if this looks hideous, in which case just pretend to see it there. I'm trying to get it in the center of the shot. It looks like there's a bat symbol on the dashboard where the glove compartment would be. I don't know if you can see. That's really hard to get in shot and to sort of retain any kind of focus for. But if you've, yeah, I think that's going to be too tricky. Hopefully you can make that out. But yeah, the rest of the vehicle is as is. It's very low slung, but again, it is quite the standard for that kind of a car. I said at the beginning it's one of those that sort of flies under the radar for me. When I first received this, I think it was one of the ones that I looked at and I felt a bit disappointed, because when you're looking at it, you think, well, it's just a car. But it's just a model car. It doesn't sort of scream Batman, apart from, you know, that Batman insignia on the glove compartment. The rest of it is it's just a car. And you know what? It is just a car. But I think what I personally think is so now, with some hindsight, significant about this, is the fact that it is a moment in Bat history, because it is technically, although it doesn't have the name at this point in the comics run, it is the prototype Batmobile. So that's exciting, and that gives it that elevates it in its level of interest to me. I mean, yes, it doesn't have lots of interesting gimmicky things on display, but it is still a really lovely model. And I think it definitely, given its significance to Bat history, certainly warrants its place in the Batman Automobilia collection. So, what do you think? Where would you rate this as one of the Batmobiles of all time? Is it up there? Is it one of your favourites? Did you not know about it beforehand? Is it something that's surprised you to learn that it was the first Batmobile and it looked like this? Or perhaps you knew all about it because you're already a bit of an aficionado in Batmobiles, far more than I am. In which case, as I say, is this your favourite? Do you prefer this kind of look, or do you prefer the evolution of the Batmobile over time into some of the things we've come to recognise as more traditional and iconic Batmobiles? I'd love to know your thoughts down below. You've been a fantastic companion for the last 10 minutes or so. Thank you so much. I really would appreciate it if you could stick around, maybe check out some other Batmobile videos if you haven't already. And it just remains for me to say that I'm the Triple TC, that's the time-travelling toy collector, and that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.